Okay, so we just worked on Illustrator images that are vector, and how to put vector images inside a website and make them with transparency around the actual edge of the image rather than the square, flat image that a lot of times we have. So that if we have a background, we can change the color of the background and it'll show through the back of the logo, so like it will make sure to have all these edges here as opposed to one flat image with a white background. So now we're going to do the JPEGs. So you can see a lot of these are transparent around their edges because you can see through them with white background. So if I went and changed the background color to red or blue, you would still be able to see the image without the white border. So if I went to clients, I went to work, you can see that here's some of the actual work itself. And if I click on this image, these are flat images. You can see kind of a silhouette of the edge at the top left and then the edge at the top right. I mean at the bottom right or the top right. So that's a flat image. Now I'm going to go find that flat image for this. Now the way that I like to set up my work is I want to have a low-res image or a smaller image. They're both low-res, but I want to show the smaller image that's going to be in my portfolio like this, and then I'd like them to be able to click on it, and of course you can have it come up in jQuery on that same page and do one image after another, or you can click it to another page. You can have it show up with the full photo on another page and just show up like that, where you can see the whole image a little bit bigger. So what I want to do is a lot of times I will get these images that they'll be really big, and I want to be able to edit it so that it's the same size as these images are. So if I go to my work folder, you can see these are my website files. Here's my website file. Here's my root folder with the actual documents themselves, the pages, and then images is where all my images are, and my work, which is this section here. Here are my actual web ready images, and of course I'm showing you the end result. This is what we want to have eventually, but if you were to get files from a designer, or say like the actual agency, if you're working with an agency, you might get a PSD, or you might get a JPEG, or you might get a PDF. So, but these are all going to be flat images. They're going to be bitmaps, which means opening in an Illustrator is fine if you're going to add text on top of it, or you want to put something inside the document itself. But if you're just trying to edit the photo and you want to save it down so that it's ready in a square-like object without any line drawings inside it, which you would do in Illustrator, then you just open it in Photoshop. So let's pull up this PDF, and I'm going to right click and open with Photoshop. So this is an original Fruit of the Loom ad and some different pieces that my project, the person that has asked me to do the project, wants me to show up on the site. So in order to create a thumbnail image that kind of looks like this, here's the image right here. I want to make sure that these are all 200 by 200, and this container is 920 width. So you can see kind of about how big it is in comparison to the width. 920. So this is 200 plus 200 plus 200 is 600. So there's 300 extra pixels of space in between here, and the white space in between all these images. So that's a decent size for a thumbnail, I would say. I mean, you can do it bigger or smaller, but you can see that you need to be aware of how much of your actual of how you're setting up the website, so that you can make sure that your images look proportional to whatever the site is that you're creating. So this, of course, is going to be the full-size image, and you can see here when you click on this that it takes you to a different page, and I rearranged this image so one's on top and one's on the bottom Just I thought you'd be able to see a bigger image because the width is so broad, and I didn't want it to go really too far. So I figured it'd be good to reorient things. So for this image, what you want to do is you want to see how big the image is first. So if I hit Option Command I can see that the resolution is 100 and the width is 1200 by 689. So if it was 1200 width and I made it the actual size that it is, it would fit so much bigger than this image. Now I can save this as a JPEG and leave the image with the same width and height that it has, but save it as web ready with 72 resolution. I can just change it right here, but I'm still going to have an image that's pretty big. Oops. So it's still 864. I don't want to do that, so I'm going to hit cancel. And the way that you want to save a image for the web once you're ready with it is you go File, Save for Web and Devices, which is Shift Option Command S, same as it is in Illustrator. So if I go over to this area on the right, you can see that I have my options of JPEG, PNG, and GIF, and then a WBMP. I'm not concerned about WBMP. PNG is for images with transparency, and then GIF is the same thing. GIF is for smaller transparency images. JPEG is for flat images, bitmap images, which is what we have here. So if I want to change the width of this to something that's a little bigger, I can do something that's a little bigger but not the size of the thumbnail. So what I'm saying is we want it to be about this size. I can probably do that here if I wanted to go ahead and save it in the horizontal format like it is. So I could do 600, and it would probably be about to like right here. So 600 width, and then of course it would be 600 width by 345 height, 600 width by 345, probably be about this tall. So right here, and it would fill up about that much space. But let's say I want it to be vertical instead. Well, I can just cut this image. I'm going to actually just change the canvas size first, but before I change the canvas size, I want to take this background off so it's now a layer. So I'm going to hit Option Command C for canvas size, and I'm going to change the height to 15, just a lot bigger. So you can see now I've created the image with a much different height. And if I hit M, it'll pull up my marquee tool, my rectangular marquee. I can just cut this and click and drag and cut it, and then paste, which is Command V, and paste it underneath the top image. So then I need to go make sure I'm using the layers correctly, and over here on layer 0 I want that to be at the top. That's with my flower, which is the prominent image. And I'm going to just make this smaller area. I'm going to transform it and make it smaller. So if I go to Image, actually it's Edit Transform, you can just hit Scale, and I hit actually Command T, which is the shortcut. I'm just going to make it fit inside the spacing, just so it'll look like it's the prominent image and the other one is not supposed to be. I don't want the eye to draw to this before it sees this full image. So I'm going to just crop that now. So if I hit C, it'll give me the crop image, and then I can make the image surround both of these pieces. Crop it, and then I'm ready to go. Now, from there, if I hit now I'm ready for the web. So I just hit File, Save for Web and Devices, or Shift Option Command S, and the width and height is very tall. So we want to make this a lot smaller. So let's see what the image is itself. It's 360 by 801. So let's do something with that. Let's make this 360. It doesn't have to be 801 height because it's probably a little bit different in that we have these bottom images are further down because it's 872. So we'll just leave it at that. We'll say save, and we would just put it where we want our images to go. Now, with the work files, remember I'm creating a small thumbnail and a bigger image, so I would want to save two of these. I'd want to save this bigger image so you can see the full design, and this one is the Fruit of the Loom, so it would be Fruit of the Loom FOL. So I would make the high-res image something like this, and I could give it a HR if I wanted to, but I'm pretty familiar with this, so I just gave it its pixel dimension for myself, so I would know without having to open up the document to see the width and the height. And then I want to create a small image so that I can have a thumbnail. So you can see here, that's what we're going to do next.